Rugby World Cup, folks. England against Argentina, 27-10. England get the win over the Pumas. We'll go through some key events and stats, and you guys can let us know your thoughts. Only one try in the game. We said in the preview, these sides will be both pretty happy to kick their goals. England, happy to kick their goals, and the drop goals was George Ford just taking this game by the scruff of the neck. But yeah, obviously the talking points of this game is probably going to be the couple of the cards, although in a weird way they weren't really a factor. It's such a bizarre one when you got such an early card to Tom Curry. But tentative start, England's defence was pushing the Argentinian attackers back, and it's been an issue under Michael Cheika. Their attack has never quite yet fired. Like, they've been averaging less than 2 meters a carry, which is among the lowest of any of the teams you'll see. Like, they just don't get go-forward ball. And England were proving that to be the case, man. England's defence was relentless, pushing the Argentinian guys back. Bertrand had a well-placed box kick. Yeah, that was about the kind of earliest of the action. Curry's card then comes pretty early on. I mean, Mallia's going to field a high ball as he's landing. Smacks into Curry. Some angles make it look like he basically just lands on Curry, and then another angle makes it look like Curry goes in and clatters into him. He gets the yellow for the off-field review. There's blood peeing out of Mallia's head, which is obviously, pretty nasty. Argentina up for the 3 points from the resulting penalty to hit the lead. 3 points to 0. The card goes for review. A few minutes later, we get another card decision, which is a TMO for Carreras, who clashes into George Ford when he's trying to charge him down. And yeah, it's one of those ones that we've seen given cards before. He basically clatters into Ford's head area with his hip. And we've seen those given cards, like I said. It goes off for a yellow as well. As soon as the English guys have kicked the 3 points from the resulting penalty there, the Curry decision comes back as red. Now, when I saw that one, given that there's two angles, I was kind of hoping it was going to be yellow. But it wasn't like earth-shattering that it was red. The way that they are very tight about that kind of thing. I don't know. It still didn't feel... It didn't feel right, if you know what I mean. But there's been loads of red cards in recent times that didn't feel great. So, yeah, it felt like one that was going to, ruin the game, if I can go with that cliche. But weirdly, it didn't. England didn't look bothered by having a man down. If anything, they looked kind of better. It's bizarre. England looked really comfortable on defence, like I said. Laws won a penalty at the breakdown. Then Carreras' decision comes back as a yellow. Some people will argue that one could have been a red. I've seen collisions where guys have been charging down that way, which looked worse. Like, that one looked, for mine, slightly more innocuous than some of the... Look up the Caleb Clark one from Super Rugby. That one was horrendous. But if that one had come back red, I also wouldn't have been surprised. So, yeah. Cards. Cards both ways. England's red, Argentina's yellows. But England's attack is still looking the sharper of the two. And when have we been able to say that under Steve Borthwick? Not very often. Not very often. And it's a weird one in that it's almost like Argentina didn't prepare England kicking the leather off the ball. England kicked more than anybody. And Argentina couldn't catch high balls to save their lives. It was unbelievable. It just was just working again and again and again and again. Surely you'd be practicing catching high balls all week. Maybe it's just a different thing to do it in the stadium. Maybe the ball was a bit greasy, but boy, Argentina couldn't catch a high ball. The handling errors are horrendous. I mean, the Matero won a nice turnover and a tackle, which was good. Immediately kicked to space. They got a nice 50-22. I think it was Chocobares that kicked that one. Gajo went close with advantage, but it was a knock-on. At that point, the game was still looking pretty even. They tapped and went, the Argentinian guys, but England won a penalty at the breakdown. And England winning penalties at the breakdown was also a brutal one. Like, England won this game with their aerial contestable kicks and the Argentinians not being able to handle them, and with their tackling and with their defence at the breakdown, plus the scrum. Like, it's just the key areas the Checkers talked a long time about getting right. Like, he wanted to get all the fundamentals right. Well, they didn't get the fundamentals right in this one. Argentina had a quick line out in their own 22. They spun it wide to Mateo Carreras, who promptly kicked it out on the full. So it's just one of those ones where nothing was clicking. It was just a hack and it went out. England's attack was also going backwards, but then they decided, hey, if we can't score tries, we'll just get drop goals. Bam! George Ford just kicked one seemingly out of nowhere with a bit of pressure. Daly had a long penalty miss, and then another Ford drop goal, bam, and then an Argentinian knock-on, turnover ball, and then another attempted drop goal, but this time from the Argentinians, and that one's a miss. Yeah, they tried to copy the old English tactic. 36, another Ford drop goal, and we go into the sheds at halftime at 12-3. George Ford, like I said, just bossing this game. Run meters 159 to 104 is pretty low. England have kicked 20 times to Argentina's 15. Clean breaks are 0-0. As I said, neither of these sides have the sharpest attack in World Rugby. I don't think many sides will be looking at these attacks and go, I'm worried about that. But the fact that England can accumulate points will trouble sides if you're going to give away penalties and if you're going to drop high balls against them all day long. So, yeah. Argentina's knock-ons continue. They concede another penalty. It's 15-3. I've just written a note, like, their hands are really bad. Like, Chocobares just knocks one on clean. And then the Argentinian scrum concedes a penalty. Tuilagi smashes Chocobares. The English defence is just pushing them back continually. It's another breakdown penalty, 18-3. At that point, the game is done. Like, Argentina scored 14 points in a comeback against the Wallabies in the Rugby Championship. At the death, by this point, they're more than 14 points down, and there's only 20 minutes to go. They're not winning this game. Scrum penalty still going on. Ford with an insanely good touch finder. Like, from his own half, and then just, like, perfect placement 5 meters out. Line out maul. Argentina concede a penalty. Ford makes it 24-3. So it comes back to the scrum and it comes back to Ford's touch finder, but that's an easy 3 points. I mean, Argentina in the final 10 minutes did find a bit of flow. They had about 10 phases before they got held up. They dropped another high ball and conceded another penalty, which was 27-3 a few minutes later. But then they did manage to get the one and only try of the game through the reserve, number 8, Rodrigo Bruni. So that's like at least a little bit of a bright side. But man, Argentina just didn't play well. I mean, you got to give credit to England. As I said, they took the points with the boot. Penalties, George Ford was so reliable. He kicked some clutch drop goals, and Argentina just looked rudderless. They had no answer for those drop goals. And Argentina just couldn't catch high balls. The scrum pressure is one that'll be a bit concerning as well, because the scrum's been okay without being spectacular in the Rugby Championship. But yeah, they looked a cut below in this one. Yeah, really, really poor. Run meters 251 to 255. Again, it's pretty low. Kicks from hand 42-21. There's been a lot of kicking thus far in multiple games this Rugby World Cup with all the heat. This game was on it a bit later, so maybe there's a little bit opportunity to run. But as I said, the ball was a bit greasy. One time, Elliot Daly just chucked it out of his hand. It just dropped on the ground because it just slipped. Clean breaks finished 2-1, which will be hard to beat. I don't think any game in this Rugby World Cup will have fewer clean breaks than that. 3 clean breaks the entire game. I feel like that's going to be the record, but we'll see. Defenders beaten as 21-12 to Argentina, actually. But handling errors, 14-2. Unbelievable, Argentina, man. You can't win a game like that. And penalties conceded 13-7. The discipline, some of that scrum, but also the handling errors. Lineouts 11 from 15, Argentina, whereas England goes 7 from 7. So in key areas, man, England got it right. They had to make 148 tackles, England, to 84. So it's not as sexy as, like, you know, getting clean breaks and offloads and scoring bonus point tries. But, bro, if it's effective, you got to go with it. Ford, 78 meters, 27 points. Earl, couple of turnovers, 1. Laws wins a turnover, 10 from 10 tackles. Itoje, 14 from 17 tackles. Defensive shift. Matera, 44 meters, 5 defenders beaten. Montoya, 12 from 12 tackles, but also conceded a couple of penalties. But, yeah. Different. different from what we've seen. I'm about to go watch Romania and Ireland, which I feel like is going to be a different kind of game. Because I got a brief glimpse at the scoreline, and if I'm not mistaken, there's an 8, which leads the way in those numbers. But as I said, the Curry red card, if you didn't know it had happened, I don't think you would even notice it. Because England didn't look like they were a man down. They looked comfortable, which is concerning for Argentina, but very encouraging for Steve Borthwick. So, yep, England got Japan next. Japan will be looking at this game and thinking, I think we got a chance. But they've had problems with handling errors of their own recently. Argentina have got Samoa. Samoa will likely be thinking, we got a chance. Especially if they kick high balls to the Argentinian back three like that and they keep dropping them. But anyway, you guys let us know your thoughts. Off to watch Romania. Oh, England rugby gear. If you want to celebrate the win, England rugby store down in the description. Get yourself some gear to celebrate. But yeah, you guys take care. Talk to you again soon. See you later.